My name is Jake Goodman. I'm a founding member of Queer Rising, a grassroots organization that demands full equality for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. I've been very upset to learn that there have been so many suicides by young LGBT people who have taken their lives because of fear, intimidation, and harassment. And now there is no doubt between the connection between hateful rhetoric spoken by some of our politicians and religious leaders and this violence and self-violence done against our youth. As a Jew, I've been horrified to learn that some of this hateful anti-LGBT rhetoric has come from some of our own leaders who have said this rhetoric in the name of Judaism. And so, it is my honor today to announce on the 72nd anniversary of Kristallnacht, the infamously violent night of shattered glass that started the Holocaust in Nazi Germany and Austria, Queer Rising's newest action, called In God's Name, Hate is the Abomination. On Thursday evening, December 16th, which is also National Remembrance Day for those who have died in violence, whose name, whose place of death, whose time of death may not be remembered, we will be gathering as an entire Jewish community and also as a non-Jewish queer community in Brooklyn to show our solidarity in saying that there is no place for anti-LGBT rhetoric in the Jewish community. Every member of the Jewish community should be respected equally. The highlight of the event will be a communal Kaddish, Mourner's prayer, that we will be saying in memory of all people whose lives have been destroyed by such hate. First, it is my honor to introduce Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum, the senior rabbi of Congregation Beit Simchat Torah, where we are having this announcement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
72 years ago, a lifetime away, state-sponsored terrorism chose to attack our people, the Jewish people in the lands then governed by Germany, but soon to be spread to countries all over Eastern, Western, and Southern Europe. The significance of Kristallnacht is not only that 91 people were killed that night, or that close to 2,000 synagogues were destroyed forever, buildings, houses of worship which had been sacred in our community for hundreds of years, nor that 30,000 men were arrested and taken to concentration camps, 1,000 of whom died there. Most were returned. But the significance of Kristallnacht was not just the individual experience of Jews in those cities at that night. It wasn't just that the Nazis levied attacks on the Jewish people to actually clean up from the damage done that night by the hate-filled pogroms, but it was that moment, that night on November 9th and November 10th, that the words of hatred which had been fueling the fire since the rise of National Socialism in 1933 turned from language to violence. From 1933 to 1938, there was a series of laws enacted which slowly and inexorably separated out the Jews from the rest of the German population. The Nuremberg laws made it impossible for Jews to own businesses, to hire non-Jews, to be hired, to go to certain theaters, to be in public spheres of life. But what really changed on this night, 72 years ago, was that all that language which started to isolate Jews made it possible for neighbors who had been neighbors for hundreds of years to take up the machete, to take up the gun, and to shatter these houses of worship and kill Jews. After that, there was no going back, and in some ways we know that Hitler was using these moments in history precisely to see how the world would react. Would there be silence or would there be condemnation? Would there be an uprising, an outrage from Jews and non-Jews from countries all over the world saying this kind of treatment of citizens would not be tolerated? There was silence. And we all know the outcome of that story. Hitler only gained more and more power in attacking the Jews, and it was not far from this night of November 9th and 10th, 1938, to the unrolling of the final solution itself in the 1940s. What we are doing here today is to first of all say words matter. How words are used and how words target and isolate individuals and groups matter. And as Jews, we reject the idea that any language is okay in order to describe someone differently or in ways that are painful. We reject that. And most importantly, we will put our bodies on the line to protect those whose physical beings are at risk, not only their spiritual and their emotional beings. So I'm proud to join together with Jake Goodman and with Queer Rising to make sure in 72 years from today, we can say we were among those who heard the glasses shattering in our own cities, in our own states, understood there was our own kind of Kristallnacht happening, but we did whatever we could to make sure the silence was shattered, not just the glass, to make sure that this would not go any further and that there would be those of us who would stand up with full voice and with full body to prevent anything from inexorably continuing on. Join us in December and join us on this path. Join us through the Queer Rising website or the CBST website. Join in community as we fight these forces that depend upon us to be silent. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Rick Landman. Rick Landman is a longtime member of CBST. He is also a longtime activist working in Buffalo with the Gay Liberation Front, in many movements that I can't even name how many. And he's here to tell the story about his father and his grandfather and their connection to Kristallnacht on the actual day it happened 72 years ago.
I am the son and the grandson of two of those Jews that on this day woke up from the Gestapo banging on the door and then went to sleep that night in Dachau. But that's only one part of my story, in that my family also ranged in Germany from everything from Hasidic, very Orthodox Jews that came in the 1890s from Galicia to other German Jews that were living in Germany for almost 500 years. But I'm also a gay man. And when I was 18 years old, I started the Gay Liberation Front in Buffalo, New York in my college. And at one of our annual dances, I got beaten up just for the fact of starting the Gay Liberation Front. And at the time, the school and the police and everyone was just telling me, boys will be boys. I shouldn't have started the Gay Liberation Front. It was my fault. So I've always grown up with a fear of bullying and a fear of what happens when bullying gets out of control. And thank God in America, the federal government steps in when we had periods of time when the Ku Klux Klan were thugs and bullying, unlike in Germany, where the Nazi era encouraged the SA and then replaced them with the SS. So it is very important that we do have a strong government that defends civil rights. But not only does it have to be the government, it has to start with each individual person. And whenever I see bullying, you have to open your mouth and say something. And that's why I'm here today.
Thank you.